Once upon a time, when I was younger, I tried to help a turtle. I was riding my bike on a back road in northern Minnesota, hammering down this beautiful, pristine blacktop highway that nobody was on but me. I hadn't seen another vehicle for almost an hour. As I cruised down this valley and started pumping up the other side, much to my horror, I saw a turtle in the middle of the road, heading slowly to the other side. Life is too short. I must save this turtle, I thought, because surely it will be run over by traffic. I stopped my bike, got off, picked up the turtle and tossed him, her, who can tell, into the weeds on the side of the road from which it came, next to the picture-perfect pond. In my infinite wisdom, I knew the turtle was confused, and in order to be safe, it should go back the way it came. Getting on my bike, I headed up the hill thinking, what a wonderful thing I had just done. I'm not sure what stopped me in my tracks. To this day, I think it was a turtle scream. But I can't swear to it. Whatever it was, I stopped. I went back to where I had gently tossed the turtle safely to the side of the road. Again, much to my horror, not to mention the turtles, I found it flailing wildly on its back, a position that is almost certain death. I gently picked it up and put it back into the middle of the road where I'd found and left it. As I go through life, I often think of that turtle and the arrogance of those who think they know better. You said that back in 1975.
I did. Pre-kid.
Explain yourself.
I don't know, Richard. That's a big question. My wife keeps asking me that all the time. But my wife and editor, I must add, but I don't know why I even wrote that stuff down. The books that I've written were basically letters to my mom and my dad. And I just, wrote those letters. And then after a while, after the years, you start looking at them, you go, just like I say in the book, I just kind of wanted to put them all in one spot. So when I got old, I could remember what I did. Like Mark Twain once said, when I was younger, I could remember everything, even things that didn't happen. and that's why I put on the front of the book, is it true?
But I would imagine that the majority of these are true.
Oh my.
Because you've lived a storied life of travel and adventure, it seems like.
Yeah. You think that now sitting in this nice little studio, but when you're running through the back alleys going, oh, sweet Jesus Christ, Jeffrey, God, run.
Okay, so getting to the book. Okay, so name of the book, Jesus Christ, Jeffrey. Now I want to make sure I get the inflection on this right. Okay, is it Jesus Christ, Jeffrey? Or is it Jesus Christ, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Or is it or is it a combination of any way you could possibly say it?
Well, my dead friend, there was always an adjective in between the two words. So Jesus Christ, adjective, Jeffrey. So that's where it came from. And it's in the back of the book, in the backward. So I wrote the backward when I first started this stuff, and I put it in as a forward. Mm-hmm. And everybody looked at it and said, if you put that in there, nobody's ever going to read this stuff. But, I was so proud of it. I put it in the back. So it's the backward. So I just kind of, thought, I'll put them all together. And then the next thing you know, one book wasn't enough. And then I started in the end. That was after I died in Japan. So I thought, you got to put this stuff down. You can't be Jesus Christ Jeffrey unless you've been dead, at least for a while.
Okay. When you say you died in Japan.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, like dead. I don't want to get graphic, and I don't want to spend that $5 for swearing. But, when you die, there's 3 things that happen. Okay, your heart stops, you quit breathing, and you shit yourself. Okay. I mean, that's the telling point right there, because what the body's doing is saying those involuntary muscles, well, they voluntarily say, hey, he's dead, they'll cue the bugs, the beast, I mean, that's nature. So you want me to keep going with this? Because I can, because I would have been dead. But, this was in Japan, and Diane and I were living in a condemned building. But, we're not rich people and all. And my thought was that I would go ahead and I was going to run the half marathon up there in some place in Japan. And I was going to, be the gaijin, the foreigner that came in and won, So I thought, okay. Well, the week before that, I was out and I was running. It was hot, man. I mean, it's like, 80, 90, something like that. And I was running and I was trying to drop weight at the same time. And I came back to the apartment and I got into a bathtub, because when you're really fat, running really hurts because you got all this blubber going up and down, up and down. So my back was hurting and I got in. And what happened was I had heat stroke. Okay, which, that's the heart stops. You quit breathing and, okay, cue the bugs. So, fortunately for me and unfortunately for Diane, my wife and my editor, she was in the other room and she hears this plop. Okay, now, there was nothing. There was no white lots or nothing like this. The only thing I remember was coming back. And I'm pretty sure she was on top of me and was slapping me across the face, and not on my watch, you bastard. But no, actually, she was kind of upset, if you can imagine. But at that time in my life, I just come back, and what happened to me, my feelings were it came back from the head first. Suddenly you realize, but you can't move everything. And so once it got down to life came back into my arms, I started crawling. And, I was just crawling like that. And then all of a sudden she screamed out and goes, "Jeff!" And I looked so I could kind of turn to the side. And, well, that's when I saw, that I had everything had let go. And so, you just kind of lay there and you go, oh man, this is a bad, how can I explain this?
When did this happen?
I think it was like 2008 or 2012, something like that. We were over in Japan a couple times. So one of those 2 times. Yeah. So, I'm coming back and, Diane, she screams at me and goes, "Jeff, look." And I looked and I go, so anyways, she cleaned me up. That's, unfortunately what you do with a dead person when it's time to clean the body. Well, I was still kind of alive. And so she cleaned me up and I sat on the bed and kind of felt the life flow back in. And I'm going, wow, I can't believe this really happened. How am I going to, this wasn't my fault kind of thing. So, I kind of was there. And then, Diane, we're in a condemned building across from, this major road with our friends. She knows no one other than our friends, who happens to be a doctor, Makoto-san, and, and Chizuko. And she, we don't even have a phone we can call across. And so I just said, no, it's okay. We'll wait. So anyways, I was back, but the next weekend was the race. So I thought, I'm running, man. This is my chance to show the gaijin can actually, So it was a half marathon, and it was like over 2 hours for me to go. I mean, it was just like, wow, this is not a marathon kind of time. And I'm going, well, I was dead. So, I'll give myself a break. Well, when we came back the next time, I talked to our friends and they said, I'm going to do this again. There's no way I can run a half marathon, over 2 hours. I can do this less than that. So we came up and Makoto had to do a talk with the high school kids. And so I said, okay, I'll take off on the run. So had the starting point, and I took off for running. It was all by myself. It was cold. It was like 50 degrees, and I took my shirt off because, but you don't take your shirt off in Japan. It's kind of like, that's a gaijin thing kind of do. You don't do that. But,
no.
So yeah, that's what I thought. But so anyways, I ran this thing and I was in, fine form. I was 30 pounds down. I'm going to do this. And I think I came in at 2 hours and 1 minute and some second. I'm going, okay.
Slightly over what you wanted.
Yeah. If I could just said, 1 hour and 59. But anyway.
Why did you feel that you wanted to chronicle?
Well, actually, I think the first one was when I went to Africa. So I used to work for Northwestern Bell, and I was into artificial intelligence, and they used to send me all over around the world and all that kind of thing. And I thought, I had a buddy that says he did Peace Corps on Victoria Island. He said, well, let's go there. I thought, okay, he lived with the chief. I'm going to sit with the chief and get in his island. I'm thinking, wow, this is so cool. Well, unfortunately, he got into a lawsuit with Northwestern Bell at that time. Okay. I had my ticket, and the same time I had my ticket, I'm looking at the paper as we're actually at the airport, and I'm showing Diane, and it says Koi killings in Nairobi. And I'm going, well, that's not the Nairobi I'm going to. Well, so I went, and then I wrote that story about what it was. And the story I wrote, I still have the paper. It was on the back of computer paper, with handwritten, and teardrops on it. Because I thought, the first day I'm there, wow, I get ahead of myself. So I get in the airport. I see this guy. We talk. I smoked cigars, or kind of smoked them then, and I had Swisher Sweet, and I gave them to a guy that was sitting there, and says, I'm waiting for a flight. And I said, oh, cool. And I kind of waited for all the people to clear out. And so after the plane cleared out, and I'm kind of, I'm a seasoned traveler, so I'm looking around and see all these people. And this guy says, if you need a place to stay, he says, here, you want to go here. And it was like a block off the main street next to the embassy or something like that. And I'm going, okay, hey, thanks a lot. So I go there that first night, and I get there, and, my buddy from, Northwestern Bell or whatever, he couldn't show up because he was still saying, I'm coming. So I'm going, okay, great. I'll just wait here for you. Well, I waited there, and then I'm sitting in the hotel. Suddenly, I think, you get kind of crazy when you're on this kind of time, and you go, I got to go to sleep. So I turn the lights off. And all of a sudden you hear this. What's that? Turn the light back on, and all the bugs scattered. They went under the bed and into the walls, and I'm going, that's interesting. So I turned the light off again. I waited a bit, turned it back on. I go, maybe I can sleep tonight with the light on. So, I slept with the light on the whole time. And the next morning I get up, and I'm going, wow, this is an adventure, right? So I put my binoculars hanging off my belt on one side, and I put my camera on the other side, and I, strike out into the main street in downtown Nairobi, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm going, wow, that's so cool. And all of a sudden, so I hear this voice, and I'm looking around, I don't have a real intimate relationship with God, but it was somebody going, somebody's following you. What? Somebody's following you. I look, and there's this lady walking next to me. She goes, somebody's following you. Cross the street now. Bang. I could tell by the size of her eyes that I'm just not, I'm hanging it out there. I'm baiting everybody in this poor, and I go, boom, into 4 lanes of traffic. They're honking. And I think, well, at least if, so I get hit, they'll find the body and that kind of thing. Diane doesn't know where I'm at this time. And so I'm out in there, and I cross the street, and I'm scared. I'm real scared. This is Nebraska scared. And then there was 2 kids that came up to me, and they said, excuse me, sir, would you like to, have a safari or, a tour of the city? And I thought, people are going to thump me on the back of the head. I pretended like, yeah, you betcha, guys. Okay, here we go. The first thing I'd like to do would be go to the American Embassy. So they take me to the American Embassy, and I'm standing in line, after you go through the guys with the AK-47s and all this, and, I'm in the back of the line, and, I'm the only, Gaijin that's sitting in there in the line, and I'm waiting my turn, and all of a sudden I see this lady walk by, and she looks over and she sees me. She goes... She stops. She takes one of those where it says, next window thing. She takes it off and she looks at me in the eye and she, gives me the finger to come on over. And so I go on over and she goes, what are you doing here? And I said, well, my buddies from Northwestern Bell, and we're going to check out the artificial, IBM and yada, yada. And she goes, well, let me just tell you that this is a very dangerous situation that you're in. She says, we've tried to tell the State Department, they ought to notify Americans that, this isn't the place to come. Well, the newspaper when I got on the plane kind of told me that, but yeah, that's not me. So, and then she goes, well, I just want to tell you, she says, do not be out after dark. Do not drink the water. She says, carry, money in one hand. And if you're accosted, throw it one way and run the other. So, I'm from G-Shucks, Nebraska. I'm going, well, golly gee, this doesn't sound good. And so, she fills me up on all this, and then I go back outside, and I got the two kids that were helping me out were there, and they kind of followed me to Nairobi the whole time. Just as kind of an aside, 1 month later, after I was in that embassy, they had people came with cars full of explosives in the back of the thing, and they blew it up. So whenever that was, they blew up the American Embassy that I was standing in. I don't know if that poor lady is still alive or not, but
yikes.
Yeah. So, there I am. I'm scared. I go back to the hotel, have the kids take me back there. You pour out money that, so that they, please take care of me. Yeah. And so they did, and they took me to the hotel, and I'm sitting in my hotel. Well, I actually went and we found some place to call Diane first and said, yeah, hey, I'm in Africa. No problem. Got dirty shirts.
So she didn't know that you were an African?
No, she knew. She took me that. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it was Taylor and Courtney were alive then too. That Taylor's my son and Courtney's my daughter. But yeah. And so, we said, okay, no problem. Still waiting for Russell to show up. And she said, okay. And then I had him take me back to my hotel that night. Okay. And so I'm just kind of going, I don't want to go on the street anymore. I'm the only live meat that this whole town's got, and everybody in the place is looking for me. And so I'm sitting in my hotel room. Suddenly I get a call. Now you got to understand these hotels doesn't have lights. They don't put lights up because they don't have the electricity. I went to the National Museum in Nairobi and they didn't have the lights on because it cost too much for electricity. So I'm in this hotel at night and the phone rings and I'm going, I pick it up and there's a guy down at the desk and says, I don't remember his name now, but whoever I had met at the airport said that he was on the phone. I said, okay. He says, well, you have to come down. So I get out and I'm on the 7th floor. It's dark all the way through these stairwells. Now I got a black belt, but I'm telling you, the hair on the back of my neck was just kind of, I'm going, ooh, you come out. I'm going to take a couple with me. I get down and I pick up the phone. And I'm talking to this guy and this guy says, oh, Jeff, he says, it's a terrible thing. Somebody stole my stuff and, could you help me out with some money? And I'm going, I got, 5 guys standing around me. So you don't want to just say, oh no, go corn or something like that. And I go, well, I don't have, a whole bunch, but I said, I could leave, a little bit at the desk tomorrow and I'm going to be gone. And so he says, oh, that would be great. He says, I'll send a girl over to pick it up. Okay. Now I'm going, this is like slow pitch. Okay. I got to get out of here. I'm a marked turkey. I've got to go. So I was up like 5:00 in the morning. I get all my stuff. I check out, and I left an envelope with $20 in an American, and I'm getting out of here. Well, those two kids that saved me from the day before, they're sitting outside in front because, like I say, there's no money. There's nothing to do. Tourist trade is a big part of their lives over there, and if they don't have any, that's it. Well, there they are. So we went to another place, and I said, okay, great. And I went into this place, and now once again, I got a big hotel. I'm the only person in it. I mean, it's like, wow, where is everybody? Well, anybody with half a brain wouldn't have been there in the first time. So I'm going, well, this is just my kind of place, So, I stayed there, and the boys, they took me to the National Museum, and that's when I walked through a darkened museum looking at their exhibits and going, it'd really be nice if they turned the lights on. You couldn't even see them back. They said, they can't do that. So anyways, I was there, and I spent another day trying to wait for Russell. And then finally, that was the night when that's when I can't really remember if there was the explosion first and then the gunfire, or gunfire and then the explosion. And I'm sitting in this hotel, and I'm going, man, this is it. And that's when I wrote the story because I thought I was going to die. At least I'd tell them what I was doing, So I wrote this stuff down on this piece of paper, and then I sat in my hotel room that whole night. And they have elephant beer. You don't get beer. It's not cold there. You ask, room service. Yeah, we got beer, but it's warm. Okay, because they can't turn on refrigerators.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. So, I'm sitting in my room, and I think I might have seen it on a movie or something. So I line up all the empty beer bottles in front of the door and put one on the knob like this. And then I sat with my back to the wall as I listened to the gunfire outside. And I'm going, if you come through the door, I'm going to bean somebody with this empty beer. I mean, I had my limits, you got to, I'm sure a full one would have stopped them quicker. But anyway, so it goes on from there.
That's an absolutely incredible story.
I made
that
it
is
all
insane.
up. It's not true. I can't make this stuff up.
So your first book, In the Beginning, is full of stories.
Yeah, like
about your travels across
Africa, Peru,
the globe. You were all over
I went
the
to
place.
Australia. A lot of places. The only place I haven't been so far is Antarctica. So
you've been on 6 continents.
Yeah,
Nice. So the first book is full of stories like that. Let's roll into the second book. The second book
is In the End.
In the End.
Yeah.
Which kind of details, I find this fascinating a little bit because, so you worked for Bell Communications.
Yeah.
You were an analyst for them, right?
Yeah.
So your second book, if I understand it correctly, kind of talks about your transition into the digital world.
It's a time warp. I don't remember. I haven't read that book. It's not any good. I wouldn't buy it. But it's not, you don't want to read about dying. This isn't true. But it's kind of. I mean, my thought. It's more or less about It's. I'm not sure what those stories are in that book. Sorry. But I know the last one was when Diane and I decided that, because I'd quit the phone company and we're going to see the world and we're going to backpack across to the continent of, Europe. Oh, isn't this going to be fun? Well, we just happened to hit it at the all-time high of the euro against the American dollar. And so, we're walking through it, and I'm trying to figure this stuff out. We got our little backpacks, and I'm trying to find cheap places, and it didn't work out well. I remember one time I was trying to get her in Venice to sleep on the beach, and it was kind of cold. I can't blame her for that. But, I found a nice set of bushes, and I said, we can just sleep here tonight. No. So we walked over, and we were following our Japanese friends that were on a tour from Japan, imagine that. And we just follow them from place to place. Well, this place was in kind of a very posh kind of neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so there wasn't any Motel 6, if you know what I mean. So now Diane's getting kind of ugly. You know, she's kind of nice to follow me around like this, but she's looking at the bushes and goes, nah. And I'm realizing I'm losing this battle. So we walk over to this really nice place with big doors and windows and go in there. And I'm going, yeah, you know, I got American Express. Let's go ahead. $179. I'm going, okay, well, you know, anything to make Honey Bunny happy.
That's right. That's right.
But that's when I couldn't do the math. And well, how much is 179 times 2? I go, oh, so that was kind of a burn, but it just went from that down to, Italy up to Amsterdam and all that. So it kind of heralds our trips. And that's when I was trying to finish up my books. And so I finally got them out, but like I say, other than friends and relatives, nobody buys them.
The third book is actually chronicles like a specific trip that you took, right?
Yeah.
The third one was what detailed your backpacking adventure through Europe.
Yep. It's the last one.
Right.
And, I gave our friends in Japan, one of our friends, Naoko, her daughter was an English student and English films and that kind of thing. So gave them a book and she read it. And I was just kind of curious because, it's really tough to read a book in a foreign language and do that. And so I said, well, what do you think about it? And she says, it's a love story for your wife. I know, it was so nice. But, anyways.
This is pretty much a chronicle of your adventures with your wife.
Well, she wouldn't classify them as adventures, probably mistakes. But I was very lucky. I'm working on my fourth book, which is in the middle, so I don't know if I'll ever get out. I've written the stories, but that's the one where Courtney, our daughter, talked her into going to the top of Mount Fuji. And, Court had been up twice. I'd been up once. And, it was the last day that you could go up. And Court has a way of persuasion, of moms and all that. So Diane's going, oh, okay, I'll go. And I'll just kind of walk up a little bit. Well, we go, there's the three of us and one other person with, 2 kids. And we go up the hill and there's nothing and it's just winding around. And it's like, wow, this is way up there. And so we got to a amusement park type of thing. And, it was a nice bright day and sun. It was a little chilly, but, what the heck? And I thought, well, it might rain up there. So we got these plastic rain suits that you put on over your side just to kind of keep the stuff off. And I thought, well, just in case it gets nasty. So we get up to the last station where there's a really nice, Japanese gentleman going, well, guys, I don't really think you want to go up there. No, it's okay. It's cool. We go.
What is the what is the height?
I'm thinking 15, 16,000.
Yeah,
something like that.
I know it's something insane.
Yeah, it was up there. It's not as high as Mount Everest. Been there too, but that's a different story.
You've been to Mount Everest as well.
Tibet, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I can go that way too. Coming into Lashao or whatever.
I have a question.
Sure.
Being from Nebraska. Born in Nebraska? Minnesota.
St.
Midwest.
Paul. Yeah.
What inspired you to do all this travel?
Well, my dad worked for Collins Radio Company. And so we traveled to all the military areas that around the country, but we weren't like a military family. Always made sure we were away from any kind of, you're an Army brat or that type of thing. So we always kind of lived in communities around. So the first time when I think I was like, I don't know, second grade, whatever age that is, they ripped my heart out and they took us to North Carolina. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to North Carolina, but this was back in 1961. And the only thing that they hated worse than anything was Yankees. Where are you from? Yeah, from Minnesota. Well, it took them a while to go look it up and say, is that north or south? But so, but I don't really blame North Carolina because that's the first time they rip your heart out when you're a kid, and then from there it was, Iowa, California, South Dakota, Alaska. Alaska was cool. I liked Alaska. And so that kind of gave me the fever. And
so you've been traveling ever since.
Yeah, pretty much.
You just haven't stopped.
And we got 2 kids. We just threw them in the back of the van and say, let's go. And always a dog. Somehow we always had a dog. So.
But Taylor and Courtney, I'm sure they enjoyed every single minute of it.
Oh, no, they don't. What? You remember traveling with your parents? Oh, God, no. Can we stop now? No. We got to go more than 50 miles before you got to go to the bathroom. Come on. But so, no, I think that kind of spurred their interest of being more than just, localized. But. Yeah.
I could certainly see Taylor's, your influence on Taylor, your son. I can see.
Well, no, I know he's your friend, but you keep saying stuff like that, he might quit.
But it's so obvious. I mean,
he's a nice kid,
he's okay.
Yeah, I know. The thing I always noticed about both Taylor and Courtney is when they brought friends home, they were always nice, people, and you were one of those. I mean, from way back from going nowhere, it was just so amazing when you came into the fold, and we're just all a big, brothers and sisters, and mom and dads
from day one.
I know it was. To this day, when I hear Mr. Stein, I look and I got a big smile on my face. There's Richard. So yeah, no.
I think the first time I met you, I think it was Taylor brought us over to your house to when Justin Dune and I came over to record iTech Radio.
Is that right?
I think that may have been the first time I met you.
Okay. I know. So. It's been a long, long time. I had to be back in the...
That's like 2002.
You've come full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now we're doing almost the exact same thing with Taylor's dad.
Well, I just want to say that those nice friends of Taylor's and Courtney's, I've always noticed that they've married nice people, and Margie, you're one of the nicest. So. Yeah, I know. They gave me a discount. Sorry.
This has been incredible. This book is it just seems fascinating.
Well, now you got to understand that when Diane and I did our Midwest tour, actually, we just went up to, I don't know, Michigan, Wisconsin, or something like that. And we're driving by and we got the book. And so I'm still thinking that, you can sell books. So we stopped at St. Charles-Vu. I don't know if it's Michigan or Wisconsin. And it had kind of a really posh, kind of artsy-fartsy type of, thing going on, festivities and all that kind of stuff. And so I said, well, Diane, let's stop and I'll see if I can sell some books. So I got that book and I hold it up and I go, book for sale. And they say, Jesus Christ, Jeffrey, I'm telling you, it just cleared the area. It was like I had a plague. And then Diane, she was off in the perimeter. She was just pretending like she didn't know me.
So Jesus Christ, Jeffrey has just been an ongoing phrase that's been used.
Yeah, exactly. And my mom hates it. Oh, that'd be a good book if you just change that title. And, Taylor's saying, my dad, you can't do that. And there's no such thing as can't in my book. And old Court, she's right. Dad, you do anything. You go ahead, bud.
As a matter of fact, I texted Taylor yesterday and told him that, hey, we got a call from your dad. He wants to do a podcast. We had talked about the title of the book, and he had mentioned that I told him that he had to change it, but he doesn't listen to me. I was like, why? This is a great title.
Oh, no, it's not. 99.9 think you're preaching and the others think you're trying to
I think it's a fantastic title.
I liked it.
The first thing I thought when you told me what the title was, okay, but which kind is it? And we already addressed it. Like,
right.
Jesus Christ, Jeffrey.
Or is it Jesus Christ, Jeffrey?
Like, that's fun.
Yeah, we went through just about every iteration of how that phrase was being used. Every inflection.
Which I guess speaks to what you could expect to find in the book. Every kind of story that matches each inflection.
I even, like I say, because I've always had this writing kind of bug. And when I went to college, it was like, well, I'm going to take creative writing. See, I took creative writing. I took, chemistry, German, biology. I was going to get all this stuff out the first semester. Well, I think I got D's in most everything, except I got a B+ in creative writing. So I think it kept me above the line before they tell you got to go home.
I'm upset that Taylor didn't tell me that you'd written a book a long time ago.
Oh no.
I wasn't even aware of that.
He tries to keep it a secret.
I can't begin to understand why.
You know how you kind of embarrassed your parents?
That is not Taylor Stein. I know that.
So for what you're expecting to go to at the London Book Fair, and you're going to meet a whole bunch of new people, like, what can they expect to take away from reading your stories?
Just like, go for it. I mean, who cares? I mean, it's never right. We're going to, where are we? Well, to the London thing. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to Ireland, and you just got to do it. You don't wait. And then, the coronavirus stuff, it's kind of like, well, golly, coronavirus, what is that? It means you don't get more than 1 or 2 beers on a day.
With a lime.
Yeah, over here, please.
So it's safe to say that, I mean, you obviously have never let anything stop you from doing whatever you want to do.
Oh, if you could only. Diane's tried so many times, like, now she just goes, don't come back. Well, I mean, don't come back hurt. Well, just in the middle, I haven't really written it a whole bunch, but it was 2018, I was running for United States Senate. So, I ran for the Senate.
What? Wait a second. What?
Yeah. Here, I got a whole box of cards here. I'll give you one.
When did this happen?
Well, it was 2018, but I was, kind of ahead of my times once again. They didn't really want to hear what I had to say. When I ran for congressman in 2016, I think as a libertarian, I got 36 votes. Well,
really?
Yeah. So then I thought,
that's impressive.
Yeah.
I was going to take on whatchamacallit, whoever the Republican lady is. I don't know, Kay somebody, isn't it? Or
I forgot.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
She wouldn't debate us. So, she didn't have to, but I got like 6,354 votes and only lost the nomination by 70,000 votes. But, that once again, like Diane, poor thing, she says, well, you're going to go ahead and do it anyways. I said, I think I got something to offer. Okay, yeah, great. Okay. Well, we retired at 62 and a half. And so basically what running for me is that I had to pay $1,720 to, get on the ballot.
Sure.
Okay. And then I paid for a ad in the paper that was $1,720. And then when I lost the primary, I said, you're not going to do that to me. I'm going to, and so I sent another ad in that says I'm going to be a write-in. Well, what you got to understand, you can't write in for the Senate and get on the ballot once you've lost in the primary. Now, you could do a write-in and get on the ballot I could run against the general again, but it didn't work out well. And so I'm going, let's see, I just spent 25% of my yearly Social Security bill on trying to do it. But it was a good experience. I really thought that, all I needed was one person that would say, okay, let's back you. But you've got to understand the poor people in this world can't really, afford $1,740.
And and they're really the ones who have the voice, but they can't get it out there. They don't have an outlet.
I know, but go ahead.
But that's where people like you come in.
I know, but it's just foolishness that you think. I mean, one of my platform things, and it's on my website, JesusChristJeffrey.com. Feel free to go look. Was all the things that I answered on all the questionnaires and everything, because I've always been a Catcher in the Rye fan, and until my brother says, well, that guy was kind of a derelict that wrote it. I go, that's too bad. But the main character would never do surveys or anything like that. So, I'm not doing a survey, but they'd send me a survey and I'd write everybody a letter back and say, no, I'm not going to do this. And, but I always responded. What really hurt me, I think, was that when the Women's League of Voters, and there's more than one of them out there, because I think I answered 2 or 3 different letters. And I said, I do not respond to surveys because it's, without knowing the details, you're talking poop here, I mean, so, here's my platform. I put everything out on the website. You can go take a look at me. Well, nobody did, but and so that was probably a strategic error, but, that's just the way it goes. I met a lot of nice people. Until you get into that stream where once you put the money up, you're actually kind of like that mayor guy. You put your money up where you're serious, and sooner or later you got to bow out. But unless you got lots of money,
right? Well, would you like to take this opportunity to announce your candidacy for the presidency?
No.
2020, Jeffrey Lynn Stein, 2020.
No,
that's not happening.
No. I got scars marks. You want to see them? So one of my platforms is, I wanted to give people $50,000 for CSP.
CSP, what is that?
What was the thing? I can't remember what the C is now, but it was a sterilization program that if you got sterilized, you got $50,000. Don't care whether you're male, female, old or fat. Okay. Here you go. Okay, great.
Sure.
And it was voluntary. But nobody really wanted to hear that because you go, what it kind of, no, I'm not against people. I only have really one thing that's sacred to me in this world, and that's kids, and if you bring one into the world and you can't take care of it financially, economically, humanely, okay, that's child abuse. And if you expect the government to do it, that's child abandonment. Okay, now you say stuff like that. I mean, I could clear out St. Charlie View again. People just think that that's kind of harsh, but I'm sorry. To me, I like kids. I don't care, where they come from or whatever, but you got to take care of them. And Diane being a early education teacher and stuff, kindergarten and that kind of thing, the money that you got to put is in these little kids. You don't wait till they're in high school or whatever and start throwing money and, computers at them. You got to teach them to say, yeah, keep your hands to yourself. Say, please, thank you. Push your chair in, for God's sakes. Don't. But so I don't know. I kind of go on both sides of the spectrum. I got liberal friends and I got conservative friends, and they all hate me. So
I find that hard to believe.
Well, they never know where I'm coming from. Stand away. You might get burnt.
All I know is that from day one, I have always found you fascinating.
Well, thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. You too. And
You've always been like one of my favorite people.
I know you too. Like I say, you make every time I see you, I smile. That's a good thing. So,
Mr. Stein, thank you very much.
oh, thank you, Richard. Margie, thank you.
Once again, that's the book is called Jesus Christ Jeffrey. Say it however you like. It's probably correct.
We had a big, debate with Diane because she says, you need a comma and an exclamation point after the Jeffrey, and then in quotes. Otherwise, they think you're gonna, you're trying to be the guy. And I go, hey, let's be the wrong person to pick.
Well, we know now how she says it.
Yeah, I usually head the other way. Cool, Richard. Thank you,
great.
Margie. Thank you.
Yeah, great talking to you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Weberized in Omaha, Nebraska for a great time with Richard and Margie, and Loki even had a good time too. So thank you very much. Everybody have fun and enjoy life. And if you get a chance, go to JesusChristJeffrey.com. Thank you kindly and have a good day.